Becoming Sister Wives, Chapter 15, Part 2. Since I am pretty talkative by nature, I was getting comfortable talking about my faith. I was often asked to do interviews with the media. Principal Voices gave us extensive media training about how to field questions regarding abuse, sex, and our faith. We were taught how to skim the surface of the question, give a truthful answer without going into too much detail. I learned how to deflect questions from my faith and sex and turn the subject to my family. The underlying principle was to convey a message about our considered and mature choices to live a plural life and to help people to understand our community. As a member of Principal Voices, I spent 2 years educating people about polygamy. I spoke at colleges and on the news. I became the spokesperson for our faith, and I loved it. After having been on Principal Voices for a few years, I started to think that the openness about my lifestyle might lead to more freedom. This realization coincided with an offer from a television journalist who was looking for a polygamous family to interview. Principal Voices thought my family would be perfect fit for the show. The adults held jobs, the kids were healthy and happy. There were no underage or incestuous marriages. We were a fairly average, stable, all-American family. I wouldn't have volunteered my family for this experience without first discussing it with Cody, Mary, and Janelle. Eventually, all the 4 adults and our 6 oldest flew to New York for the interview. Although we were running a risk appearing for the interview, although we were running a risk appearing as a family in front of television cameras, the risk was tempered by the fact that the journalist didn't have an actual television program on area. He was using our story as a demo or a promo that wouldn't be shown to the public. Although we spoke openly on the show, the whole event seemed somewhat secretive and private, which was a great relief. Appearing on this program led us to a paradigm shift as a family. Suddenly, hiding out seems less intimidating and less possible than it had before. The production crew mentioned doing a documentary show with our family. Even though we refused, it started to make us think about the possibilities of telling our story. Publicly. Although I was beginning to feel it was time to take a public stand, I didn't think a documentary was the right format. While I didn't mind speaking to reporters about my own personal choices, opening a family to the world was really scary. I had legitimate concerns. I didn't want Cody to be taken away as my grandfather had been, and I didn't want anyone in the family to lose his or her job on account of our beliefs. Even though we turned down the offer to do an in-depth documentary, the family continued to discuss several possibilities for going public with our story. While none of these appealed to me, Cody realized that living openly was something he was called to do. He wanted to educate people about our lifestyle to create a more understanding and tolerant world for our children. Any documentary maker, television producer who wants to explore polygamy first goes through Principal Voices. For years, the woman who leads the organization has been fielding requests for families willing to tell their story to the public. There are very few families and individuals who want to participate in anything that could endanger or harm or just expose their family, especially when it comes to a large-scale media event. As one of these people, I didn't mind the interviews that I participated in alone, but involving my whole family had until now remained out of the question. I was approached a few times about telling our family story. One day I told Cody how I was asked about coming out as a family and sharing our life with the public. Why didn't you tell me about any of these requests? Cody asked. Aside from the interview I did in New York, a brief segment on the BBC that wasn't shown in America, it hadn't occurred to me to tell Cody about the request for interviews. While Cody was very supportive of my role in Principal Voices and shared my views about opening up our society, I didn't imagine that the rest of our family would want to approach. But the next time we were approached about telling our family story, let me know, Cody said. By coincidence, I'd been contacted through Principal Voices by an independent producer, Tim Gibbons, who was looking to do a reality show about a polygamous family. Cody liked the sound of the project and made an appointment to meet Tim in person. Shortly after the initial meeting, Tim came to our house to talk to us about his ideas. We were immediately impressed with Tim's vision for the show. He had observed the ways in which polygamists were often ridiculed and felt a reality show could go a long way to changing that. He thought that if he portrayed our family as honestly and openly as possible, it showed how essentially normal we are, that people might be able to understand that there's a whole lot of difference between most polygamists and the rest of the world. Tim assured us that the crew would be small and unobstructive. He said that he would respect our wishes whenever we needed to deal with something off camera. Tim's attitude and outlook were so honorable that he put the entire family at ease. Naturally, there was a great deal of debate. It was the right time to tell our story. Warren Joseph was on trial, and the news was flooded with pictures of him marrying underage girls. We needed to provide a counterpoint to that image. We wanted to let the world know that we are in no way condone forcible or underage marriage. We do not support any organization that permits a woman to be taken from her family and reassigned to another husband. These things are not acceptable and they have no place in our world. When we consented to the program, we told our children that they should start letting all their friends know about our family. Their closest friends already knew about our lifestyle. My oldest, Aspen, was really stressed about telling some of her friends, but when she did, it went really smoothly and everyone was accepting of her. However, Madison, Janelle's oldest, had a totally different experience. One of the girls in her class asked her if being a polygamist meant that her father molested her. She had to marry her uncle and couldn't wear the color red. Madison was disgusted and horrified, but she was able to demystify the truth about her family and make her friend understand that her home life is pretty normal and completely healthy. Once Aspen, Madison, most of our other children had told their friends about our family, they could bring large groups of friends over to the big house, which they loved. The kids thought it was really cool they could all lead their friends to the house and show them the different apartments and introduce them to their different moms. While the kids were saddled with the problems of opening to their friends, the adults had a different problem. We had to tell our families, who naturally worried that we might inadvertently expose them on the show. My family agreed with my decision to go public, but they were concerned that I'd bring them into it. They weren't ready to be outed. I had to work hard to convince them that I would never dishonor their wishes and mention their names or show them on television. As we prepared to do the show, we took steps to hide certain identifying details so that our family would stay out of sight, both on television and online. While we knew it would be impossible to protect our family's privacy entirely, we attempted to do our best and hoped that the media would respect our boundaries while my family quickly came to terms with my participation in the reality show.